Hey guys, it's Lexi here, and today I'm going to be making Bruni from Frozen 2. Let's go! Instead of this paint, I used a dark blue metallic paint, a light blue metallic paint. This is all acrylic paint, by the way. This purple paint for his markings, in addition to another purple paint I'll show later on, and glow-in-the-dark paints for some additional fun. So let's get started. I'm going to take this LPS gecko base, 100% acetone, and we're going to use cotton balls to remove his factory paint. Here we are removing his factory paint, and I made sure to wash him under some soapy water to make sure all the acetone was off of him before starting any painting. And here he is, our blank canvas. Well, mostly blank canvas, but we can cover that up with paint. No worries. So we're going to start with this light blue metallic paint for his underside. And look how opaque and full coverage that paint job is. Oh, it's so wonderful. No, it's not. So we're going to have to start off with a white base paint for him to build up that blue color on. When working with acrylic paint, you want to make sure that it's watered down. I do normally a 50-50 mixture, and that's to make sure that the brush strokes don't show through when it dries. And you do this by building up the layers to build up the paint. But since this is just for the light blue acrylic paint to hold on to, I don't really build up the white paint too much, just about 2 coats. This is also a good way to map out where I wanted to put the light blue acrylic paint while looking at pictures to reference. I've never used a gecko base before, but it was challenging with the angles and crevices you had to get to. But it was a good experience overall, and most of the cleanup I did off camera, so you're welcome. Now we're getting back to the light blue acrylic paint. Now this is metallic paint, so the formula is different than normal acrylic paint, or maybe it's just because I have an off-brand paint, but the water solution doesn't really work with this. It ends up drying in a cobweb configuration, but I figure out that you should use a makeup sponge to dab on the paint. But until I remember this about this type of paint, feel free to sit and watch me paint, knowing that it's additional work. All this painting, all this filming. It's okay. I figured out you needed a makeup sponge to dab on that paint. And in about 2 or 3 layers later, you have a nice opaque coverage. See? Nice and opaque coverage. And then I added glow in the dark because I figured that would be fun, but it really wasn't necessary. Now we're going to be adding on his eyes. And again, we're doing the watered down technique for the acrylic paint. But here we go, keep on painting, and about 3 layers later, it'll be opaque. Ta-da! It's opaque! Now onto the hard part. I realized with the color shifting blue, it wasn't working, and mostly that was because I didn't start out with a white base paint. So here I am figuring out to do a white base paint. Look, I didn't even bother filming it for y'all. And I switched the color to a dark metallic blue paint. And because of all the crevices and joints that this base had, I went back and forth between using the paintbrush technique and the sponging technique, as you'll see in a minute. Dab, dab, dab. Make them look fab. And yes, that's from Simply Nailogical. Thank you. His toes and head were very challenging because just all the weird angles I had to get into, and plus with his head being so bulbous, I didn't want to hit. See, look, I'm about to hit the eye in 3. Yep, there we go. I didn't want to have to keep repainting things, but it was just so challenging. I probably should have started with doing his back first and then painting the light blue paint and his eyes, but live and learn. I ended up fixing any mistakes off camera later on, but here I am going through the crevices and trying to get all the white paint, block it all out. Now here we go with making the design that Bruni has on his back. He is the fire spirit, so he gets this fun fire spirit inspired design, which kind of just looks like a big diamond with a hole in the middle. But at the moment, I'm painting it to look kind of like a kite. But in order to do something so intricate, I figured, paint by the dots would help. And here I am just thickening up the lines and painting the smaller diamond inside the big diamond. And hey, this time I learned to paint on the light first before painting the purple on. So I'm learning. But because this is so intricate and close-up work, I did most of his pattern off camera, as you'll see in a little bit. Ta-da! Here he is with his blocked out pattern ready for the purple paint. And again, I did it off camera. I'm sorry guys, but it's just so intricate. I needed to focus without a camera in the way. So here's the additional purple I told you about. And we just mixed all 3 of them together to make this lovely purple color on his back. I think I did about 3 layers. The color built up pretty nicely. And again, I didn't show all of the layers this time, just because this is becoming a long video anyways. I figured I could just cut to, what it looked like in between, and that would be okay. So I hope that's okay. at him. He looks so cool already. Now I am going to be using this blue for the eyes, and again, this is another intricate part that I had to do off camera. I'm sorry. I just didn't really want to mess up the eyes. I've had to clean up so much already, so many mistakes, so I just did it off camera. Here are his pupils, again off camera, because I was shaking the whole time and I couldn't film the process. I'm sorry, but here's what he looks like in between steps. And I added the eye shines, so there we go. He looks so cute, and he looks exactly like Bruni. Now we're going to seal it up with some matte varnish, and you should water this down and do a couple of layers to seal the LPS, but I was so tired at this point I was just slathering it on there. I also forgot to show the step, but with his markings and his eyes, I covered them with a glossy Mod Podge right now. And here he is drying with the glossy Mod Podge on. Oof, sorry I forgot to film it. But here he is, all done. He dried overnight and looks so amazing. And he looks like Bruni. And I love him, and I love him so much. Look at that face. Well, thanks so much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you have a good day.